So that shows that, the veins are being completely exposed and there is a lot of blood coming out. In this case, we advise patients, go and see your GP. Don't try to treat yourself in the house. Go see your doctor so that at least you don't lose too much blood, because it could lead to anemia and all of these conditions. Now, this itchy sensation that people feel, that's why there a lot of people associate sugary things with jedi, but it's not actually the sugar. From what I have explained, you have seen that it has more to do with hydration, with fiber in your diet, with eating right. Now, by the time the condition has gotten to the extent that veins are exposed internally and the person is also eating a lot of sugary things, when we eat, most of the time, in fact almost all of the time, we don't get to absorb everything from the foods that we eat. So some of these things get turned into feces and it gets passed out, including sugar. So when there is a lot of sugar left, sugar residue in our feces, pinworms tend to try to feed on these sugary things, and it is their activities that gives us that itchy sensation, which, after all of the constipation and all of that, bruising of the veins, the itchy sensation around the anus is about the last stage that people now complain that they have jedi before the itchy sensation begins.
Looking into how people complain, I think men do lodge complaints about pie more than women. Is there any factor that is making men to have pie more than women?
It's not as if men have piles more than women, but because of the signs that it gives in men, which has to do with the erectile dysfunction. If you remember, I described the effect that it has on the erectile area. Incidentally, that is also where the male organ resides, the lower part of the body, and of course the female organ anyway. So when that part is inflamed, it becomes very difficult for a man to experience erection, because there is a lot of pain around that area. It is mostly due to the pain that the man will not be able to sustain erection. And erection requires a lot of blood flow to that area. Automatically, when there is blood flow, he tends to feel the pain more, and then that affects his erection as well. It's not as if women don't have jedi as well. A lot of women also complain about jedi related back pain. They complain about the prolapse thing, but because theirs does not affect they don't have any erection. That's why it seems to be more rampant among men to use the term jedi or pain and all of that, because it is just something that they are familiar with, that once they have such pain and they have the itchy sensation, they seem not to be able to achieve erection or be able to sustain it.
Weak erection, it can be partly related with pie. And at the same, can we say infertility in men or in women can also be related to pie?
There are two different conditions, completely different conditions. Although the only thing that makes them a little related is the fact that if a man is trying to have a baby and then he cannot sustain erection, then it's going to be difficult for him to be able to make a woman pregnant. But there is really no relationship, no direct relationship between infertility and jedi, although some of these things, the signs that they bring about overlap quite often, most of the time. For instance, in lower back pain, we usually advise patients, you need to go into the hospital when you have lower back pain, because we've seen cases of colon cancer, which also gives back pain as a symptom. Exactly, not necessarily pile. We've seen cases of prostate cancer being treated as jedi because the person affected or the people around them just assume that, oh, lower back pain, you must be suffering from jedi, and then they start to administer jedi mixtures. So it's very, very important that you have a checkup and diagnosis by a professional before you go ahead with treatment.